Why is a growth mindset essential for personal and professional success? I'm Dr. Michael Lee, performance consultant, and thank you for joining me today. How many of you want to have an incredible growth mindset? If that's something you'd like, put me in the chat because I want to make sure I'm speaking to the right people. So wherever you are checking in from today, wherever you are in America, in Asia, in Europe, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And thank you for checking in. Just let me know if you are watching this live. If it's live, put live into the chat. But if you are watching this on a replay, put a replay into the chat as well. Either way, thank you so much for joining me today because obviously the reason why you're here is to find out how to grow because you already value growth. So before I actually go into the three areas why I believe growth mindset is essential in your life, whether it's professional or personal, I'm just going to let you know what happens to the people that don't grow. Because some of you will be here and you'll be thinking, oh, Michael, I'm really hoping that I'm not one of those people Michael's going to call out because I've been doing some really bad habits and that's why I haven't been growing. Well, at the end of the day, we all started somewhere. You might have heard this famous saying, every master was once a disaster. And it's true because we all will learn. And this is the thing, when people aren't growing, because there's this famous saying from T. Harv Eker, he always says, everything that you want in life, whether it is amazing relationships, amazing wealth, amazing health, it's all like a plant. A plant is either growing or it is dying. Plants don't plateau. Things in life don't plateau. Just think about your health. If you are exercising, yes, you are going to get stronger, fitter, faster. If you are not exercising, are you going to plateau? No, because you're doing nothing. Guess what your body adjusts to and it adapts to? Yeah, doing nothing. This is why it's so important to make sure that you are taking the right actions to gain what you want to gain. Let's talk about relationships. If you were interacting with someone that you care about, whether it's your wife, your husband, your children, your friends, your family, it's going to start growing because you're spending the time to improve that relationship. But guess what? If you don't see them for a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, has it plateaued? No, it is dying. And now we're talking about wealth. If you want to improve your wealth, at the end of the day, you're either going to do things to generate wealth or you do nothing and generate no wealth. It doesn't plateau, right? So this is why it's really important to make sure that every one of you have a growth mindset, whatever you're focusing on, whether it's your wealth, your health, your relationships. Ultimately, you have to be growing because without growing, you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're not improving yourself. If you're not improving yourself, guess what? You'll be making the same mistake over and over and over and over and over and over again. So make sure you are growing in every aspect of your life. But I know I get it with some of you. You're probably saying to me, hey, Michael, I want to grow, but the goal is so big. That's okay. It's okay to have big goals. It's okay to dream big. It's okay to have incredible aspirations. But what it isn't okay is for you to think you can do it overnight. Because everything is done by one step at a time. Right? We need to make sure we just take the first step, then the second step, then the third step, then the fourth step. But ultimately, a lot of people just want to skip all like 10, 20 steps and just go to step 30 or step 100. And I tell you what happens is they fail. And they fail not only miserably, but they fail with a lot of pain and a lot of suffering because they missed all of the other steps. And this is why it's important to make sure, yes, when you're thinking about growth, it's being really realistic in terms of what are the right steps that you need to do. So, I'm excited I'm going to tell you what are the most important things about growing. So, number one is this. What I love about growing is this, particularly as growth mindset, is that, do you know when you're growing, you will never, ever, ever be smaller than where you were now. If you've learned something new today, you're already better than where you were yesterday. All right? And then you learn something new the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And guess what happens with each and every day where you're learning? You then grow, and then actually you become smarter, you become more productive, you become happier because you get more stuff done, and then actually you then reap more of the benefits. So this is the beauty of growth, that you know that you'll never get worse. You will always get better with each and everything that you are growing with. Because always remember, you might have heard this famous saying that every day is a learning day. Even if you're at school, whether you're at university, college, wherever you went to have your education, every single day you will learn something either about yourself or about someone else or something else. But ultimately, you will learn something. And the great thing about learning is this. If it involves you and another person, it will be a personal learning. And when you have a personal learning, you then actually experience all of the emotions involved in it, all of the consequences, all of the potential outcomes. And when you're actually learning that, then you can start to think about how can I apply it to all these different areas in my life. But you can also learn another way. You could learn from other people's experiences too. There's this famous saying from Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time. He says this: do not learn from your own mistakes first. Learn from other people's, because you do not have the same lifetime to make the same mistakes again. How many of you understand that? If you understand, but yes, because at the end of the day, time will always run out. And we don't want to waste time. If someone's already made the mistake, let's go and learn from their mistake. Because the fact is that when you learn from someone else's mistake, it's great because you get to accelerate to your outcome faster. But what's even better is if you made the mistake yourself, there's going to be a degree of suffering. And people don't like pain. People don't like suffering. People don't like being embarrassed, or they don't like feel silly. And this is why it's so important, if you can learn from other people, do that route, because you'll get there faster minus the suffering. The other great thing, number 2 now, in terms of your growth mindset, is whatever you learn, by the way, it will stay with you forever. How many of you heard of someone called Elon Musk? Yes, I'm sure everyone has. Because if you heard of Elon Musk, his story is that he made his first million by selling his PayPal shares. And when he sold his PayPal shares, because of course he was actually living on his brother's floor, and he didn't have much money until he sold his PayPal shares. But the thing is, he then lost it. He lost it all very quickly. But what was amazing, he then was able to make it all back again in just 12 months. So the question is, how was he able to generate all that money? It's because he had everything inside his own mind. The knowledge that he had learned to generate wealth stays with him forever. No one can ever take that away from him, because if I could spend lots of time with Elon Musk, I would. Because I know there would be a lot of things that he's learned in his experience, or what he's learned from books or other people, that could apply into my life and possibly even your life too. But essentially, he has learned it so that he is not content with being a millionaire, but he has to be with a B, a billionaire. And this is why make sure whatever you learn, you apply what you learn. There is that famous saying, knowledge is power, from Sir Francis Bacon. But remember that knowledge isn't power unless you execute it. You have to put into practice what you know, because at the end of the day, you could download whole of Google into your mind, but if you never use it, it's actually useless. It makes absolutely no difference to your life, it makes absolutely no difference to other people's lives either. And that's why you must take action. You must take more action and then put it into practice, into whatever area of your life you need to grow in. Just do. Because remember, at least when you do, you have an opportunity to have a positive outcome, because when you don't do, it's always a negative outcome, because nothing happens, nothing changes. How do you understand that? Yep. Great, thank you. The third thing now with a growth mindset is this. When you are growing, right, and you are experiencing, because there's this famous thing about learning. that experiences, they say, is one of the greatest teachers in life. But actually, experiences is the only teacher in life. You have an experience at school, you have an experience at college, at university, you have experience with people, you have experience in business. They're all experiences. And whatever experience you have been absorbing into your life, you will learn something because it will teach you something. It will teach you either something didn't go well or something went really well. And whatever it may be, you'll build upon it. Because eventually learning will create something better or a better version of you. Because when you have that growth mindset, the one thing that you will not be doing is wasting time. Right? Because when people do nothing, nothing changes. And if anything, the standard of life stays exactly the same. It's not going to improve. And if anything, once they wasted that time, they can never get that time back. And when they don't get that time back, they can never actually grow from that time because it's lost. Now they need to use even more time to achieve something that they could have achieved maybe years ago. Because some of you will actually be thinking, oh my God, I wish I learned this years ago. I wish I learned that a few months ago. That's okay. The best time to have learned it was probably years ago or months ago. Because yes, some of you are probably paying, we call it the time tax. The time tax is that you need to keep learning, you need to pay to actually gain more time in your life. You need to pay down that, even that money to learn something new so you can get more time in your life to enjoy life. But some of you, because of that time tax, right? Because you haven't learned what you need to learn, you're still paying that time tax. Say, for example, if there was a mentor that could say, hey, I can get you $1 million in a year if you join my course. If you don't join the course, it's already cost you $1 million, right? And you've paid down that time tax. Because it's about, the question is, how can I reduce that money that I'm losing and gain it as quickly as possible? Then I understand everything I'm learning is actually an asset, not a liability. So make sure you're not wasting time, because if you are wasting time, you cannot gain that time back. And then you will eventually need to spend money to try and gain time back, because it's going to cost you something at the end of the day. It's going to cost you time to go and learn it by yourself and get all the experiences and maybe the pains, or you can pay someone else, maybe a mentor or a coach, that will then make sure you are on the straight and narrow, pushing forwards to then gain your result. So make sure you have this growth mindset, because remember, everything in life operates in polarities. You are either growing or you are dying. But you choose which one you want to do, because everything you do in life is a habit. The whole life is just all about one big habit. The choices you make, the choices you do not make, it's just a habit. The things you do, the things you don't do, it's all a habit. But what I really hope is that everything you do is going to help you in your growth. Because your results, or we call it your outer world, is just a reflection of your inner world, which is your growth mindset. So make sure that you're willing to grow. And because I want to thank you all for joining me today, in the comments, let me know what is the next thing you need to learn to have a growth mindset, or the next thing you need to do to make sure that you are improving your life. Just put in the chat, because I want to make sure that you're accountable to me and I'm accountable to you to make sure you do what you say you'll do. And those are the people that will really be successful in life. So thank you so much for joining me today. And, if you've got any questions as well, put them in the comments. And I cannot wait to see some of you soon. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.